Welcome back to the Brew Crew Podcast, everyone. This is day 20 of the Advent Calendar Spectacular. I'm really upset because it's about to end.
Me too.
Like, we only have a couple days left, and I did look ahead, and the last beer does not seem to be a great... no offense to, who is it? Land Grant, but the last beer doesn't seem to be, like, going out with a bang. I'm glad we did. Was it Decadence?
Decadence
on a grand scale, but I wish we were ending on something. So, Chuggalo, SFIL, and I are discussing maybe doing the 24th, and then maybe doing one more.
Yep.
To go out on a bang.
Yep. Maybe a special Christmas Day special.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
So if our fellow Chuggalos would care to follow suit, that'd be great. Not required, but
not required. No, we'll talk
fun.
it out. We do.
We'll have to go. We're just gonna go out randomly.
Or Christmas Eve, evening.
Yeah, Christmas
late.
Eve evening.
It'll have to be late, but
we're gonna go. Go down and pick out something special and something special for the occasion and end it on
primo
Christmas.
beer, as I called it.
Primo beer.
All right, today we're talking about Single Cut. Single Cut is out of I forgot, they're out of New York, but I can't remember the city.
Clifton Park.
Clifton Park or Astoria.
Astoria, New York City, or Clifton Park. Upstate.
I've only ever been to Buffalo and Cooperstown. I went to Cooperstown.
Oh, I haven't been to Cooperstown.
Cooperstown's wonderful. Total not New York feel to it. And I don't know what that means because I've never been to New York City, but I have heard things.
So I wonder if there's any difference between the way they brew and bottle their beer in New York City versus upstate, in Clifton Park.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
But you don't eat salsa from New York City.
No, you certainly would not.
You would not do that.
So you would think, I'm going to show my personal bias here because I grew up in the Midwest, and then after I graduated, I moved and lived in Chicago, and everyone understands the very friendly rivalry between Chicago and New York. Sometimes not so friendly, actually.
Yeah, well, I think it's just that New Yorkers, they hold themselves in such high regard.
That's right.
But they're mostly pieces of shit.
And geez, I can't.
No, I'm just
said that on the podcast.
It's okay.
But
there's a lot of great New Yorkers. There's some New Yorkers that live in the town that I personally have coached with someone who's from New York.
Really?
And he's one of the greatest guys that I've met.
You didn't want to kill him?
Nicest. No, not at all. He's totally not that your typical. Now he is a Mets fan, so what do I say there? My deepest sympathies.
Yeah.
To you as a Mets fan. I don't think he watches, but if he does, great guy, great coach, wonderful teacher. Wow. He's a teacher as well.
Well, see,
I won't dox him.
And he was so smart that he got out.
Yeah, he's here now.
And he came here.
In what Matt refers to as the worst state, and I call a great state, the great state of Ohio.
It is the great state of Ohio. It is a great state, and unless you've been somewhere else that's highly oppressive, very expensive to live, I'm not going to mention any names, but until you've been somewhere else,
rhymes with pornia. Rhymes with fornication.
Yeah.
Well, Californication.
Cauliflower ornia.
Yeah, cauliflower ornia.
Something.
But that's how you do it, folks. That's how you get from New York to Ohio in one conversation.
That's right.
We're doing Single Cut. I'm an alligator. And that's all I know about this beer. I looked this beer up just to see, what's the story here. Apparently, they have a line of beers called Weird and Gillies. And this is Weird and Gillies' big brother.
Oh.
So Weird and Gillies must be a single hazy IPA. And this is a double.
This is a double IPA. So another double in 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
2 days in a row. We got a double IPA. This one is 8.0.
It says on the website 8.2. It says on the can 8.0.
8.0,
Which is it? New York?
That's right.
Figure it out.
Come on, New York. Get your story straight. Stop being Giuliani and stop being de Blasio and stop being Andrew Cuomo and tell us the truth.
Tell us the truth.
I'm telling you right now.
It says mega dry hopped because spiders demanded it. What does that mean?
I have no idea.
What does that mean?
Well,
mega dry hopped.
Mega. That means it's going to be.
That means that
it's
they
going to
threw
be super bitter.
The hops on top.
Yeah.
Mega.
Yeah. It means it's going to be very forward. The first thing you're going to taste is hops, and it's going to be very bitter because it's mega hopped.
We'll see if that's true.
That's the expectation anyway.
We'll see if that's true. Let's crack this baby open.
let's do it.
I'm an alligator. 3, 2, 1. That was really good.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
I don't know about that. Interesting. It's got a bitterness to it. The IBUs on this beer are well over 100. They're, I think, 125 on the IBUs.
Yeah.
So it's going to be bitter, but
you're gonna have to like hoppy beers. Yep. It is unfiltered. If you're pouring it out of the can, let's see it, because they say it's unfiltered and decant carefully. As you can see, John's not.
As you can see, I'm decanting the shit out of this beer. What do you want me to do? Hold a screen and like pour it through the screen? Decant carefully. I'm drinking beer. I'm drinking beer, people. I'm not.
Carefully doesn't mean carefully doesn't mean like down the middle.
Delicate. No, I tipped the glass. You want a little foam. What was wrong with that pour? That pour was great.
Oh yeah.
Look at this. That's a perfect amount of foam. You would film a commercial around that pour.
That's a beautiful pour. That's a beautiful.
Now, personally, I want less head because I want to drink it right away.
But that's for an IPA. That's a beautiful head. That's a perfect head. That little head like that.
That's what they say. That's what Hollywood said to me when I went and sent them my headshot.
Beautiful head.
Said, that's a perfect head.
Perfect head, but no work.
No, we're not going to give him a job. We're just going to.
Please.
They don't need any more jobs. Give him a compliment.
Yeah.
So a little less. Yesterday's beer was
modest.
What would it looked, if you compare it, if we compared it, it would almost look creamy compared to this because it had a whiter.
Yeah, it was really hazy.
Thicker, hazier tinge to it.
Yeah, it was thick. It was thick. It was pulpy.
You still can't see through this.
I love that. It was pulpy and really had a lot of texture to it. Mm-hmm. This has less of that, but it's clearly hazy, as you can see.
Definitely hazy. Yeah. Hides the alcohol.
Yeah.
I think it hides the alcohol. There's a bitterness here, and I don't know. Is that a hop?
Yeah,
that's I don't know this hop.
That's hops. Yeah, it's hops and it's forward, which is the dry hopping. We talked about that 2 days ago.
Yeah, but this isn't a hop that I'm used to. These aren't hops that I'm used to.
They don't say what kind of hops they use.
Yeah, they don't.
When they did this, but it's definitely not. So the other day we had Noble hops, which is a great hop because it's real clean, right? You don't taste a lot of the long aftertaste or long finish from a real stinky, flavorful hop. I say stinky in the most loving way as an IPA lover, but Noble hops are real clean. This is less than that, so it's got to be it's maybe, I don't know. It's not probably Saaz, but it's something else. I wonder what it is.
So are there hops grown in that region?
New York, probably upstate, maybe a little bit. They probably import their hops from places.
Oh yeah, probably.
Biggest hops, the biggest place that hops are grown in the United States. So you can import fresh hops from England and from Czechoslovakia. Czechoslovakia has the premier hops for most lager styles, Pilsner styles, etc. Right?
Makes sense.
Beautiful, I mean, when you take a train ride through the countryside, you see fields and fields for miles and miles of hops, which is really strange. It's not like that in this country at all. But
not
here,
in this country, we do corn here.
That's right. We do corn and wheat, man,
and soy
and tobacco.
Yeah, we do tobacco, and that's what we do best.
Yeah, tobacco.
And soon, weed.
Yeah, that's right.
Be we'll be the premier cultivators of weed.
Maybe we have plenty of space for it and great climate up north. But most of the hops in our country are grown in the Pacific Northwest and Northern California, and they can grow all kind. I mean, they can grow. Hops is I'm going to say this on this podcast. Hops is a cousin of cannabis, and you can tell that when you smell it because the hop oils, the oils from the buds of the hops smell very characteristic and very similar to cannabis. But you wouldn't ever use cannabis to ferment beer.
I bet. I don't know.
Do people? Somebody probably has tried. Maybe, but
I don't know if Stillwater does it, or if they are using hops that mimic that. But I'm going to get you a bottle of their 420 strain beer. And the second you open this beer, you're going to think that there's like some sort of young concert going on around you. The beer will fill a room with the smell of cannabis. It's insane.
They probably use hops, a combination of hops and cannabis. I'm wondering.
Probably.
I'm just wondering.
I don't know that there's cannabis in it because I think that would require some sort of warning or maybe buying it from somewhere else.
I mean,
you can get this stuff at the regular alcohol store.
Yeah.
So it must be a hops thing.
It must be, but
or infused or something.
But anyway, there's a lot of hops grown in the same country as wine country in Northern California and throughout Oregon and Washington. So, and they have great hops. So that's where I think the best hops in the world are grown in America, and I think that's it. That's where they come from.
I think the best hops are grown right here in Dayton, Ohio.
Do they grow hops here?
Well, there's some debate. If you're a early adopting Chuggalo, and you remember back in the early days, there was some. We had a third member of our team, Cobra, and he has a farm.
Really?
And he's growing hops.
Oh, is he?
And he would like to distribute those hops to local breweries. And one brewery claimed there are no Ohio hops. But that's not true.
That's not true.
He's growing them.
You know, actually, Ohio.
There are Ohio hops. I believe, not to interrupt you.
No,
I think Rheingeist did release a regional, like all ingredients were
like the barley and everything.
Yeah, everything was from, I don't know, maybe not the barley. I don't know what it was, but I'll have to look it up. There was like a local beer, maybe it was Branch and Bone, where like almost everything was grown right here in Ohio.
You know, that would make sense to me because it's the perfect climate. It's actually, you know, I'm going to say this and people are going to probably laugh at me, but from a Midwestern standpoint, it's actually a fairly mild by comparison climate here. You can grow almost everything here. A lot of things that you can't grow, in elsewhere in Illinois or the Dakotas or Minnesota or even, Iowa or whatever. You can grow here because it's got milder winters and you have a longer growing season and stuff. So it would not surprise me at all if you could grow really good hops here, and you could probably cultivate a whole little microclimate unto itself right here in Ohio.
They probably do.
So I would love to see that. By the way, if somebody did that, I would be all over that. That would be so cool. Anyway,
hey, if you're looking for investors, reach out. Scott would be all over that.
That's right. And we have connections.
I probably would
people.
too.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this beer.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I'm an alligator.
Are you? Are you feeling alligator?
It's something I think that as someone who, no matter how old I get, I always still think I'm closer to the youth than I am to elderly.
You will be when you're my age too.
You still think that? You still think
absolutely.
I'm young. I'm closer to being a kid than I am to being an old man.
Because
that's
it's here.
I'm thinking.
It's here.
It's here.
Right? It's here, and I have the energy of a younger person, and I have the heart of a younger person, and that's how I feel. Mm-hmm. Then I start like doing yard work and stuff, and I realize, oh, shit.
There are some limitations there, but I can still be an alligator.
Cool.
I can do it. I think that if I set my mind to it, I could do it. Man, I could be one.
I tell you, from where I sit, you are an alligator.
Well, thank you.
So it's a relative thing, right? It's a relative thing because I got like 20 years on you, and from my perspective, you're the alligator and I'm like, man, I wish I still were an alligator. Oh, I am an alligator. Yep. I'm just an old alligator.
No, the old alligators are the ones. They're the most sought after alligators.
Yeah,
for their meat. Wow, people are hunting.
I did not know that.
People are hunting you, Scott. You should be vigilant.
I get to feel that on my job many days. Anyway, we won't go into that.
All right, so this beer, it's definitely danker. You gave your score first last time. I don't think I'll come off the top rope per se. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely danker, and I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so on here they're calling it Double Dry Hop Imperial IPA. Okay, I suppose so. It's 8%. I don't taste the alcohol, so I think that's what they did well here. I'm confused a little about what's going on in the flavor. The hops, they blend into this, I would call it a dull bitterness, which is a kind of an oxymoron. But like this bitterness, it's very generic. It doesn't have a hops taste to it. It doesn't have a malt taste to it. It doesn't really have a distinctive bitter taste. It's just, here's a beer and it's bitter. I wish I could identify it. I like to pride myself in being able to pick some of these flavors out. This is I had like my first actual good wine. Not good to me, but like actual high quality wine with Scott. And whether, I have no idea if he was completely bullshitting me, but I picked out the flavors I tasted, and he was like, "Wow, spot on." So I like to find those, and I can't find them here. I think this just tastes like just a bitter beer. Where am I on this beer? I want to like it because I think they hid the alcohol well. I think that's, like I said before, that's what they did well. I don't think that, other than the can and the name, which I love, I don't think they did anything memorable here. I'm at a 3.25 on this one. But you know what? It's a high two. I think I'm gonna have to do it. I'm gonna have to give it a 3.5 because it's not a bad beer, and I think a 3.25 is starting to lean towards the downside. But there's no downside to this beer. No. It just doesn't have an identity, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I'm gonna respectfully differ
Please do.
In a couple of ways. First of all, there's hops all over this. I'm tasting the hops. I taste I smell the floralness of the hops. When you smell hops in the raw, you know, they've got that pungent, definite pungent flavor to them, as I described earlier. It's almost like cannabis. So you know you're smelling hops when you smell it, right? And I get that. I get that smell and I get that flavor in here. It's got a really long finish. It's not a clean hop, but it's got a long finish. You know, to me, the hops make the beer. The hops always define the character of the beer. Maltiness, you could use different chocolate malts and, you know, roasted barley and all this stuff. And they do shape the flavor, but the hops really define it. And I'm tasting a lot of the hops in here and the character of the hops. So the hops oil is what preserves beer. That's why brewers use hops. But the floralness, the floral nature and flavor and scent of the hops are what really drive the flavor profile of a beer. And of course, it's bitterness. That's all the bitterness in a beer comes from hops because of the oil. So that's what we're getting. I think you're spot on and would totally agree. This hides the alcohol really well. That's well balanced. When you have a beer where you're not tasting alcohol-y, you know, and you don't get a lot of alcohol-y, you know, in the finish, you know, after effects in the finish, that's really a well-made beer. It's a balanced beer, really well balanced. You've got a really long finish, unlike the last two IPAs I think we had were really clean. Actually, no, sorry, we had yesterday's was really clean, and then the day before it was a Pilsner. That it was dry hopped, so it had a lot of hops, but it had a real clean finish. It was noble hops. And this is different than that. This is a different hop. It has a real long finish. If you like long finish to be able to taste the hops, see, I'm like still tasting hops right now.
I'm not at all.
I'm tasting hops on the back of my throat, and I like that kind of taste because I'm a hop head. I really like hops. So this beer to me is I rated yesterday's IPA, double IPA, really highly. I really like that beer a lot. This is right up there for me. It's a different double IPA in so many different ways. The hops are different. They're longer in the finish. The alcohol is more balanced against the hop bitterness and the bite. And so in some ways, I like some parts of this beer actually a little bit better, and some things not quite as much. So I'm going to rate this beer pretty highly. I'm going to rate this beer. I'm kind of hovering between a 4.25 and a 4.5, which is still pretty dang high. I like this beer a lot. I would drink it again. I would buy it again. It makes me feel like I'm an alligator.
Wow.
And maybe, so I'm thinking, I'm going to give this a 4.5.
4.5.
I really like this beer a lot, and not quite as much as I liked yesterday's double IPA, but for a lot of reasons it belongs in that rarefied air. I've only ranked a few beers at over 4, and 4.5. That's my score.
That's it. That's the score. We got 4.5 and a 3.5. It's I don't. And this is good. This is why we do this.
Yeah, exactly.
I just don't feel, other than the alcohol, I just don't feel the same way about any of the things you said, and you don't feel the same way about any of the things I said. And I want to get it, but I just don't. I just think this beer just needs to find itself. And that's okay.
That's one of the.
You know a lot more about hops than I do.
But everybody has their own flavor profiles that they like, and you have a very different flavor profile than I do that you like, and IPAs aren't really there. Hazies you like, but you have a tendency for other and preponderance for other types of beers that I'm not necessarily high on myself, and we ended up coming out. There's a lot of beers that you rated higher than me, and some that I rated higher than you. And that's kind of the cool thing about this whole thing, right?
That's what's great about beer.
That's right, and great about our podcast. Even amongst the folks that are participating in the Advent calendar, we've got, we saw the other day, we're all over the map. There's some beers that you just can't avoid agreeing on because they're just outstanding beers.
Right.
And there's others that you're just all over the map on, and that's a good thing.
Different feelings.
It is. It's a good thing.
It is a great thing. And I assume that you'd like sours, seeing as you like wine.
Yeah.
But you don't. You're not big on them.
I've taken a shining to them now.
You've come around.
I've come around. I started off kind of low, thinking, okay, I can drink it, but it wouldn't be my preference. I'm going to lean towards the IPA, but there's
it's okay if it's not your top beer.
But
I'm fine with that.
But there's some. I mean, I've ranked a couple at 4.0 now, which is pretty damn high score for me, and I truly like them. So I was that's another thing. I'm so appreciative to have been asked to be included in this group because I'm learning a lot about a lot of different styles of beer that I would have never even tried.
Yeah.
I would have never gone to the corner store that we love.
Hall's Corner.
Hall's Corner, you got to do it.
Got to go to Hall's.
It's a must.
Talk to Pat. Tell him Brew
Talk
sent
to
you.
Pat. And
he loves beer, and he loves serving customers.
And the inventory he's got is freaking amazing. I mean, you can't even get through the whole store. It's unbelievable.
And it's a small place.
It is a small place.
But it would take you forever to get through every little beer that they have.
You can't do it. You'd be in there for hours. Yeah. I was in there. I was just going to jump in and grab something and bring it home, and I ended up being in there with Katie for an hour maybe. And I ended up with just a pile of beer, and I still didn't see everything in there. I was just like, wow, look at that. What's that? It's an amazing place.
Just a well-curated collection.
It's incredible.
Halls, there's a lot to learn. If you guys want to be a part of this, we're thinking about trying to put together one for the summer. Some sort of summer drink-along. And then... obviously, the Advent Calendar 2022 is going to be, I think it's going to be huge. I know Matt said that we're probably in the double digits of participants. I think we might be, I think as the year goes on and people find these videos and they figure out that, wow, I could join in on Skype. Like we could we could have a call here and then post it to YouTube. I think we're going to be in the 20s.
I think so.
Of participants,
especially if we do one in the summertime, which will just propel this group and the people that now have seen it that want to join into that, and then they're going to tell their friends. By the time we get to next Advent calendar, I think it'll definitely be in the.
Yeah, I think we're going to at least be in the 20s, maybe the 30s. Shit, maybe we're going to be Joe Rogan by then. And we're going to have millions of people clamoring for this Advent calendar, which is going to be huge. We're going to have to team with brewers by the time we get there.
Brewers may be calling us
to get in. No, well, yeah.
You,
Matt and you, to get into the calendar.
They want. Hey,
this is an exclusive event of 24.
24. That's it.
Different beers, not the same. We don't want 24 coffee ales.
No, we don't. 24 sours.
We saw that play out the first 10 days of this.
Yeah, it was a little too much.
A lot of coffee.
Yeah. We want a broad, wide mixture of all beers, beer types. And you know what? There's only 24 days. There ain't 30. There's not 35. There's 24. So brewers, if you're listening to this, come and get it.
If you're listening, just know that Matt and I have both agreed to sell out immediately.
Thank you for your
honesty
and transparency.
Being punk rock or anything like that. We'll sell out right away. So if you want Bud Light Orange to be in this Advent calendar box,
bring it.
Show us the money.
Show us the money. Show me the money.
That's it. That's day 20. We ran through 20 days of this shit.
Oh my gosh.
Only 4 more to go.
And we've gone from purists to sellouts now, but
we were never going to be purists. We were never going to be like, it's all about being indie.
No.
Nope. I mean, we were seeing it. Bell's. We saw it with Bell's. We're seeing it with, I think Founders just got bought, right? Was it Founders?
Did they really? Who bought them?
Someone big. But it was the same.
No.
Oh, no, it was Sierra Nevada got bought. Someone got bought.
Sierra Nevada got bought?
But we're seeing it. We're seeing Rheingeist has teamed with Sam Adams Distribution. So it's not a sellout. Really? They just want to be distributed.
Yeah.
But we're seeing it's not about... There's no pre-agreement that you're going to be punk rock. And honestly, I was in a punk band when I was in high school. And if you made some unwritten agreement to not sell out, you're now probably working a full-time job. That's the point.
Yeah.
Is that if you really wanted to play music for the rest of your life, you should have sold out.
Yeah.
Because you can still write about hating the government or doing this or whatever. You're just going to be paid by a record company.
Yeah.
Same thing here.
I mean, you got to be smart about it.
We're fine with it.
Like, and there's no one more.
We're not going to hawk beer that we don't like. That's the one thing we won't do.
Yeah, I know. No, I won't do it.
We will not. If Bud Light Orange is in the Advent calendar, we will literally get on here and say, here's the amount of money they paid us. And then we'll say, we think you should drink Bud Light Orange. And then we'll say, this beer is a 0.25. Because it's garbage.
And we will never get another Anheuser-Busch endorsement ever again.
Well, we've given Anheuser-Busch more than their fair share of free advertising. Because as a Busch Light drinker...
Oh, that's true. That's
true.
And
a Busch Light evangelist, they've gotten tons of free ads on this show.
Have you had Busch Light on the as a review on the
As a review, no.
Oh, you guys should do that.
Review Busch Light? We can't review a beer we've had that much.
Oh man, I think people would want to hear your perspectives on it. Just saying. And especially things like Brapple. I mean, my gosh, that thing is magical. I've never had another beer.
Well, Brapple we've talked about extensively. I mean, we didn't review it because, and that's an interesting conundrum because we can only get so much.
That's true.
And so we're like, we'll share it with each other, but very rarely. Yeah.
But it's good to tell people about it because people are looking to you as a guidepost, and hey, what about this? Have you heard about that? Have you tried that? And you guys have in most cases. So
in most cases, we've tried it.
Yeah.
If it exists, we've tried it.
Yeah.
No, that's not true. There's tons of stuff we haven't tried. But that's day 20. Long video here. We actually intended on doing like 8 minutes or less.
Yeah, I think we blew that.
All right. Well, I think from now until Christmas Eve, we're on our own.
We're on our own. We're doing it separately. John's departing for the in-laws' house, or no, your own family's house, in Chicago for the Christmas.
That's it.
And Elena and I are staying here, so we'll be mailing it in separately, as it were, from now.
Don't
till
mail
Christmas.
it in.
I won't.
Don't mail it in. Do it.
I won't.
Give it your all. Give it your all.
I will.
Go hard or
Anyway,
go home.
I will.
Or go hard at home.
Yeah.
All right, that's it.
All right.
I think we've
See ya.
run its course.